my, actually, truly it is my privilege, and I'm proud to introduce Dr. Balaswamy Akala, one of the persons whom I happen to meet because we have taken up this clean coal technologies. I am really very grateful for this project because this project has given me an opportunity to come in contact with Dr. Akala. As you can see, Dr. Akala he has been the chairman and managing director of two of the Coal India Limited subsidiary companies. He has 44 years of experience in various capacities, and finally rose to the chairman cum managing director of Coal India subsidiaries CCL and CMPDA. So 44 years of experience. I think the most of the audience here is not even half that age, right? So that's a kind of rich experience. And he has also been in various important policy groups, task forces of Government of India. He headed the coal subgroup of the Planning Commission, Government of India, to decide matters of minerals and coal exploration, coal demand and supply and production, etc. for the 10th plan period. Being an expert in the mineral, mining and energy sector, brought improvements in the quantum of business which enabled the companies to increase the gross turnover substantially. He prepared many concept papers. As you know, concept papers are pioneering initiatives. Before doing one thing, you talk about the concept of that particular area. He has developed concept papers in CBM, that I think coal-based methane, sir? Coal-based methanes, and CMM? Coal mine methanes, and many other sectors for Coal India. He is an expert in the match of mineral coal resources in northeast region of India and the EU. Expert in the area of energy sector, particularly sourcing and deciding fuel of power. As you know, coal is not only the first page news item today, at least for the last 1 week. Coal is also the milk for the nation in terms of its growth. So if you do not have, especially for in India, we are dependent on oil. We don't have an oil, sufficient oil fields. We'll have to depend on coal because we have the third largest coal reserve in the country. For like a growing child, this nation which is growing in terms of development needs energy, and that energy has to come from coal. So coal is actually like a milk to the growing Indian child. And Dr. Balaswamy Akala is a person who has nursed the thermal power sector by providing that milk. So I'm sure that this session would be very interesting, and he is a person with rich experience. So it is our duty, it is especially your duty as a younger generation, to get the maximum out of this session. And now over to you, sir.
Side of the day. So good evening to everybody here. And as Dr. Jawahar just told, I don't know how much we are worth of, but still I can only say that it was 1964 when I left the college. As a student, after completing the BE from College of Engineering, Delhi, now it's almost, you can say, it's about going to be 50 years. 2014 comes, it will go to 50 years now. So all these years I had been in the industry, in the field, in the mines, in coal bed methane, as you told, or coal mine methane, whatever it is, how they can, I'm very glad to see the young ones again after so many years. I am in front of this thing, such a gathering. I think I'll be able to make some sense, and I'll be able to give something so that you can also appreciate and go ahead in your work, in your career, in your thinking. What is this thing? Because as I was told, mostly the mechanical, the chemical, the civil, EEE these days, and of course the faculties also here. I think I'll be able to put things in such a way that you take something and gain something, go before after this meeting. Coal. You have been talking in the morning. I was told about climate change, the emissions, the greenhouse gas, and global warming, etc. So it's all our own making. The industrialization started in the 18th century, 17th century. From then onwards, you are seeing that we have been only loading the atmosphere, or only, emitting the emissions out into the atmosphere, and the result is known to you. And what we are going to do in the coming years also is known, because as I have been in the paper, you can go through this paper when you are having time. It has a lot of things. I will just tell that, in 100 years back or 200 years back, the emissions that were probably given out was changing the atmospheric condition. It was taking around, say, even about 1,000 years. In 1,000 years, the changes were not so much. But we are capable of doing it in 10 years or 20 years. So that is the quantum of emissions, or quantum of gaseous toxic elements that we are sending out to the atmosphere. So I think that is the reason why again, when we do something, again we start thinking back and then try to correct. And that is the result of the global, the meetings that are taking place, the protocols that are being held everywhere, and environmental global meetings and decisions. Probably what is happening is we are not able to still decide something and then go in future for next 50 years what we are going to do, so that we can at least keep it under control. That's again a big subject. Now, as far as we are concerned, because you are all going to be tomorrow into the power sector, or in your own way, in your own way, you will go into some industry, wherein you will be again generating a lot of emissions and waste, and which is again going to pollute the atmosphere, whether it is soil, whether it is water, whether it is air, whatever it is. Now, the coal has been considered as right from beginning. In many places, if you go to, of course, many people who have not gone to the coal field and seen coal, how the coal comes out and how the coal is handled, how the coal is dispatched and sent, all these things. If you go and see, probably many people will say, I don't want to see it, I don't want to touch it, but I want the benefit out of it. Because about the 80% of the energy, the commercial energy in the world is given out from the fossil fuels. Either it is in the gaseous form, or the liquid fuel, or solid fuel. The coal is about 50% of the energy in the world is coming out from coal. Suppose if you don't want to see it, or don't want to touch it, or don't want to go near it, probably you will not from tomorrow you will not get power. Already you know what is happening in the country, the outages and this and that happening here and there, all because of the shortage of power. Now you cannot just do that. Now, having said that, India is also, we are also 68% of power is being generated from coal. Now we cannot just say that coal is black, coal is dirty, I will not see it or handle it. Now, after having said that, how to make it appear, first of all to appear clean, and then how to use it, at least for power generation. Let us concentrate on power generation, because coal is being used for all other purposes also besides power generation. It is used for steel, it is used for cement production, it is used for fertilizers, it is used for other industries, heat-intensive industries, etc. But when we are talking about power, we are just burning it. You know, all mechanical, electrical engineers here. We are just burning it. How efficiently are we burning it? You know the percentages, how much the thermal gradient or thermal efficiency. If you are, if 1 ton of coal is having, say 100 kilocalories, I mean say 1000 kilocalories of energy, you are able to take out only about 35 to 36% of that. The rest is not being burned, or it is going into the ash ponds, or it is going up in the sky, or it is just getting wasted. That means we are not taking the energy, full energy out of it. So that is where probably you will be discussing, or must have touched, or you will be probably in your sessions tomorrow, you will be having those technologies of burning this fuel, or combustion technologies, by which the percentage of energy conversion from coal to power is can be increased to say to at least 40, 45, or even say 50 they are telling. Again, it's all cost, it's all technology changes. We have to wait. It cannot just happen in one day. All our old powerhouses, they have to be phased out, and the new powerhouse means the more cost, the more time. So there has to be a plan for it. I think probably India is no exception. Like other developed countries, including China, which are already thinking of getting into the clean coal technology. The technology is, supercritical, ultra critical, all those things. You must be experts in that. I think tomorrow you will be discussing. So that is one aspect. That means combustion and the post-combustion. Post-combustion again, the carbon sequestration, etc. Again we will be talking. So what I am going to tell you about is prior to, before burning it. There is coal as a input material for the power plants. Now, many of you may not be knowing about the coal, how it came from. I'll just, in a very few, in a course, I'll just tell. It is nothing but a plant matter that is about 130 to 140 million years old. Coal that you are seeing is nothing but a plant matter which got the process of heat and the pressure of the, continuous stratification of the soil above the plant matter. Because of the heat and the pressure, it got converted into coal. And as I told you, it is about 130 to 150 million years old. And there are younger coals, there are older coals, because there are so many, because the geological age itself, we talk in lakh and million years only. So, in those times, the plant matter was probably it was skin to skin. The geologists and the scientists, they say the trees would have been even around about 100 meters tall, or even about 3 to 4, 5 to 5 meters. The trunk would have been as big as that. They were all so close. It was nothing but raining and heat and rain, and the weather was only that. Nothing was there. The plant matter was the life. The plant matter was so rich, and that plant matter in the burial conditions, mostly it was basins. Whether it's normally it is a coastal areas, coastal ocean sea basins, or it can be even the land basins also. Basins means don't expect that it's not a small lake or anything. That the basin will be around say 500 or 600 miles one way, and the other side maybe even 100 miles like that. Such big basins. The plant grows and grows and grows, and then suddenly some tectonic movement takes place. What happens? It all gets buried. It doesn't stay, because now what we are witnessing once in a while, the earthquake, which is the disturbance that is taking place inside the earth, inside the mother earth. That was happening. Probably it was visible. Every alternate day or every alternate year, every 10 years it used to happen. Probably it used to be in such the quantum of the disturbance or disruptions were so much that those plant which was in the basins got buried. Again, after getting buried again, the things grow and keep on growing. That's why you will find wherever you go, in any country, the coal is not in one layer. It is in multiple layers. we call it coal seams. So different thickness, different type, different qualities you will find. So there are as many as even about 25 layers of coal in our own country. In Jeria and in other major coal fields, there are about 22 distinct layers on the coal seams which are one above the other. The deepest being about say 1000 meters or 1200 meters. Because after that, in over this 135 million years or 150 million years, the stratification, the sedimentation, either the rock came out or came on the plant matter, or the rock from elsewhere also came by water, by the streams, etc., etc. So the sedimentation started taking place. Normally, you will find the coal is sedimentary rock. It's not an igneous rock. It is not original rock. It is a secondary. It's a sedimentary rock. So coal being from the plant, and the sedimentations, probably it will be silica or it will be all other mineral matters. So you will find the alternate, the coal, and then the overburden or the rock, again the coal, again overburden, like that. It will be in series. Now normally you will find these layers should be either little undulating, or mostly somewhere it is horizontal also. If the basin was so big, the floor was somewhere horizontal, the plant matter, the floors are very horizontal also. So the coal sinks are also horizontal, and they remain like that in some countries. But in our country it is not. Or for that matter, even in Russia, in Poland, in France, and Europe also. Only US has got a advantage. Probably the tectonics and the disturbances are not so much. The slope of the seams is almost flat or mildly dipping, very mild dipping. Whereas in our case, the dipping, the layer is dipping, say at 10 degrees or 20 degrees or 30 degrees. Now, after that, it cannot just remain as it is. The entire structure might have been folded by the tectonics, geological activities that were happening. The coal seam might have been folded this way. We call it a syncline, and this way also, anticline. So if it is a U shape, we call it syncline. It can be even folded like that. You will find the coals, just like a U-shaped coals. In Russia, it is mostly prevalent. In northeast, in our country, they are like that. The dipping, the inclination is about 30 to 40 degrees, 50 degrees. Recently, I had gone to one of the mines in Russia. It is just like a sine wave. All electrical engineers will find it just like a sine wave. You will have the seams, coal seam you can imagine, and then we have to get into that and start mining that. We have to. They are mining it. There are technologies for that. So, as I told, coal is nothing but plant of 150 million years old, formed through coalification by heat and pressure, in simple words, and then got disturbed or disrupted or folded or in whatever way, or even thrown up, thrown down. You cannot. There is no dynamics. There is no rhythm in dynamics. Anything could have happened and happened actually. So what is there, we have to go and then mine out. We cannot change that. It is already there. Either it is in the folded form or in the inclined form or in the up and down, thrown into up and down through faults. There won't be some coal and in the process. Whatever is, we call it geological conditions, geological for mining, geo-mining conditions. So a mining engineer or a person who goes to mine coal has to encounter that geological conditions and then accept what it is and then adopt a method to take that coal out from the mother earth. Now, having said that, we are little unfortunate. We in India, the further matter, the Gondwana, that geologically there was an age called Gondwana age. Our coals are formed in those times. As you must be knowing, the continents were all together. The African continent, the Indian subcontinent, they were all in one continent. After that, only they separated and the Indian Ocean came, and the the Arabian Ocean came, and Bay of Bengal came in, like that. So otherwise, it was all in one continent. The land mass was same. So the Gondwana coals are African, Indian, Indonesian, and Australia. That all these the Gondwana coals are of little different type. The European and the American continent coals are little different type. In a broad sense, to cut it short, our coals are formed through drift theories. Drifting in the sense the plant matter was somewhere else. The coal seams today are somewhere else. That means plant matter was carried from that point to some other location. So drifted from one point to other. So the drift theory, that's why our coals are more contaminated. While drifting, while coming from one point to another, the rock mass or the mineral matter or the silicate or mud, whatever you call it, it all got mixed with the plant. So when it came, it was a muck. It was not a pure plant standing over that you put some soil and then bury it. It's not like that. So some other basins in other continents, it is we call it the in situ theory, where the plant matter was there and there it got buried and remained there. So whatever disturbances took place later, it is okay, but it remained there. So that those coals are quality-wise, are better. So you can understand our coals generally are inferior with more ash in one sentence. Almost all the power coals in India, which you are talking about, which you are going to be interested now, is about 40%, 42%, 43% ash. Out of 100%, the carbon is so less, and only the ash itself is 40%. So that is a disadvantage, because that makes the heat value of the coal comes down because the ash is there. So average heat value of our coals is about 3,500 kilocalories, whereas in coals in USA and in Russia and Europe, they are 5,500, 6,000 like that. So that is one aspect. Now, having said that, we are fortunate or unfortunate to have this kind of coal, and the coal quality has to be improved if you want to, because today again we are talking about emissions, we are talking about combustion. If you want to burn it rightly, it has to be of right type. Otherwise, you will not be able to attain that 45%, 50% of efficiency, thermal efficiency. So I think after having said that, now I will just talk about one of the pre-combustion. And coming to before getting to that, your reserves also I have given in my paper. India holds around 280 billion tons of coal. 280 billion tons of coal, and the maximum reserves are in Jharkhand, and the next comes Orissa, and the next comes Chhattisgarh, and then the Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal. These are the 7 states holding Narago, and of course Tamil Nadu. We are having again that lignite. Lignite is a younger child of the plant. Coal. They must be around 100 millions. They are more of peat. As I told, the stages of the plant. From plant it converts into peat. From peat to lignite. Lignite to coal. And coal is also different varieties of coal. So there are some bituminous, and then the most mature is the anthracite, which you must come across. So it is the lignites. The Tamil Nadu has lignite, and mostly it is, as you know, it is being used only for power generation, and its calorific value is hardly around 2,200 or 2,300 kilocalories per kg. So, having said that, about the necessity to have clean coal, I'll only just dwell upon that, because if you want to pursue the clean technologies, tomorrow we will be discussing about the power generation technologies. If you want to have that, the prerequisite is to have the clean coal, reasonably clean coal. Otherwise, you will not be able to pursue those technologies properly, efficiently. So I think that's why it is very important to have the input, that is the throughput to the plant has to be at least reasonably of right quality, right size, and that is what is important. And we call it in the clean coal. Coal, when it is mined, we call it the run-of mine coal, ROM. Run-of mine coal is whatever this Mother Nature is providing to you, it's coming. And as I told you, the Indian coals are containing more ash, they are inferior, they are having a lot of stone materials, mineral materials. So I think they have to undergo a certain amount of washing, which was not taking place since about 10-15 years back. You are just like in the olden days, as soon as you harvest, it goes to the mill, and from the mill to the kitchen. That's what was happening about 20 years back, 30 years back. You can imagine how was our grandparents or grandmothers doing. We just take it from mill, it goes to the shop. The shop it comes and it just wash and goes on picking and cleaning. But there will be a duty. Some ladies in the house, their duty is only to pick stones out of that rice or out of that whatever you have. But now it's not that. It's everything is plain. It's all clean. You are ensuring you pack and everything. You can go and just put it in your kitchen and then start cooking it. Like that, the coal which was fed to the power plants about say 15 years back, it was all just raw coal, whatever we had. They used to crush it and this thing. That is how the efficiency of the power thermal efficiency was so less, and the technology was also not that advanced. Now, if you want to improve thermal efficiency, if you want to burn it rightly, so that the emissions are less, which we are asking for, and you want to convert the coal energy to heat energy and heat energy to electrical energy in a more efficient manner, throughput itself has to be the right one, right type, and that is where I'm going to tell you about the coal, which is getting mined. So again, as I told, it all starts from the coal phase. If you want a clean coal, we have to take care right from the beginning, 0 point itself. If you don't take care there, if you do anything and everything and send the coal out, the throughput, run-of mine coal itself will be having more of stones than less of coal, then there is no use. So that's why the mining, the care that is to be taken at the phase itself is very important. And just to tell you as to how this coal is mined, as I told, the coal is in a series of seams, the deepermost and the shallow ones. The deepermost is the oldest one, maybe 150 million years old, and the other ones maybe 120 or 130 million years old. Because every layer, minimum it is about 1 to 1.5 million years, about 15 lakhs years. Then only the other seam must have come in, like that. There are two methods by which the coal is mined. One is the surface mine, the open pit mine. Many of you must have seen. I don't know whether you have gone towards Neyveli or not, because we talk about Neyveli. How many of you have gone and seen Neyveli? I don't know. So Neyveli is one example of an open pit or open cast mine. So it is mining lignite, which is younger than the younger version of the coals. Whereas in the other states, as I told you, in those 5-6 states where the coal seams are there, the shallow seams, which are the younger ones, which are layered at near the surface, they are all mined by the open pit. You call it open pit or open cast or strip mining, whatever you call it. So why like that? Because you can remove that stone or burden, we call it rock above the coal, it's called overburden, that it can be removed, expose the coal and then extract it, dig it and extract it, get it out. So for doing that, there is a limitation. We call it the stripping ratio. Coal is to overburden ratio. We call it stripping ratio. Coal, say 1 cubic meter. How much of rock you have to remove to get that coal? That is, one coal is to say 2 rocks, 3 rocks, 4 rocks, 5 rocks, like that. 1 is to so. That's what is called the stripping ratio in the jargon of the coal mining. Now, previously, all were manual methods. There was no advanced mining. There was no large equipment, sophisticated equipment, state-of-the-art equipment. They were not there. They were all manually. So, even if it is 1:1 was a very good ratio. We used to call it. When I started my career, the ratio used to be 1:1. If it is beyond 1:1, no fun about it. Let us not mine it. We leave it. Now, within my tenure of 40 years, 45 years, now the ratio of 1:1 has gone up to 1:8 now. Even if the stone is 8 times more in volume, no botheration. Let us go and remove it and then go for open cast mining. So the open cast mining as of now, even 1:9, 1:8, 1:10, up to 1:10, the limiting ratio is as of now is 1:10. God knows it may go even further. The mines can go deeper. The average depth of the open cast mines in India now is around 80 meters, 70 to 80 meters. Now the deepest one is about 150, 160 meters. Now we are having plans to go take the depth to about 200, and it may even go to 250 in the years to come. All because of the equipment, the technology, the size of equipment. They are this thing. Now, as you can see, I have described. There are so many combinations in the equipment itself. The normal, technology which is generally used. Technology is the shovel dumper combination. Shovel is that excavator. You will find, you call it JV, you call it, when you go here and there you will find. So the excavator is that which digs and loads onto a dumper. So it's simply a shoveling and dumping onto the dumper, and it conveys. So the shovel dumper combination is the most usual, generally used one. And that's for OB or coal, whatever it is. And for coal mining, an equipment has come which is called a surface miner. Surface miner came from Germany actually. They were using that machine for cutting the road. While repairing the roads, we have to, what we do, we go, our ladies and gents, male and female workers go and then go on digging it and then making it rough, as civil engineers know. You have to make it rough before putting the reference layer. So they were cutting that road about 6 inches or 3 inches or 4 inches by means of drums, pigs fitted in the drums. So that machine, we about 15-20 years back, when I was in Coal India, we tried to, as he told, there was a concept we came at, why not use it in mines, in our mines. So then we were sent to Germany, and of course we came back and gave a report, and that was introduced in one of the mines of Coal India. Now it has picked up. Entire coal industry, it is now going for, as far as the coal mining is concerned, we are using that machine, the surface miner. We call it surface miner. That is about 2-3 meters wide. Drums will be there. The pigs are fitted in that. They start rotating and start cutting that coal seam, say by about 6 inches. So the coal is cut and loaded. You don't have to blast it, don't have to do anything. The advantage of this is, again, because I am coming back to you, it is a selective mining. We can only select whether it is, whether you want to cut coal, you will cut coal and leave the band. Separately you cut in the coal seam. It is not only coal. In some places you will find bands, as I told you. By stratification, by this drift theory, there will be layers of, within the coal seam itself, there will be layers of stone bands. So that is the culprit actually which makes the coal dirty, more dirty in our country. So we have to have this selective mining, and this surface miner is coming of use to you these days. And one more technology is that drag lines. Drag lines you must not have seen here. Drag line is a very large and huge equipment which has a very, very long boom, even as long as 100 meters, that just digs and then puts the rock besides. Say again 100 meters away from the face you are working, the side casts it. So that way you are removing that rock from the seam and putting it in somewhere else. So this drag lines combination also can be there. And there are special mining equipment. Here in Neyveli, it is SME. The technology is SME technology, where, as I told you, they are younger rocks. They are not so hard. whether it is lignite or whether it is a rock above the lignite, it is not so very hard. So there are bucket wheel excavators, which there's again a big drum. It is a larger drum. It will cut the overburden and then conveys through conveyor and it's spread by a spreader. So that technology is specific to only those mines where you can use it. So once you decide the technology, that technology can be adopted. This technology cannot be adopted elsewhere. It is not elsewhere in the country. Only in navally this technology you will find, this special mining technology of this bucket wheel excavator. Bucket wheel excavator cannot be used elsewhere. And again, of course, crushing and conveying. Nowadays, the technology, the method has gone into such a thing that the stone is crushed. It is loaded onto a crusher, bunker, goes to the crusher, crushed and then conveyed through conveyors. So instead of the trucks or the dumpers, the rock also comes via the conveyors, belt conveyors or the rope conveyors, steel cord conveyors. So these are all the methods which are helping these days to go deeper. So our economic limits or the limiting ratio is increasing. At the same time, the economics are also not getting affected. So the technologies or the large size machines are helping you. Now coming to, as you go down, for example, you will keep on mining. How long you will keep on mining? There will be a time you will not be able to go down because coal is even up to 1,000 meters. Will you be able to go strip it open and then take it out? No, I don't think. Probably as of now, because we cannot see things beyond 20 years. If anything happens, that it will be again. It will be your innovations. But now, as of now, probably 300 meters is the limiting. We are 250, 200 plus means we have to go for underground mining. So you have to go down and get the coal out. The coal will not come to you or it will not be exposed. It will remain where it is. You have to go to the coal below ground and then start taking that coal out. So there are so many methods as I have described. You can go through, and they are normally we call it a board and pillar or room and pillar. We just go down. The entry depends upon every mine to mine. It will be a different design. Because every car to car or vehicle to vehicle is a different design. Like that, every mine will have a different design. Where to enter, how to enter, and how big the entry should be, and the location of the entry. Everything is planned and designed. And once you go, you start driving galleries, roads we call it. Road normally in India it is around 5 meters wide, about 3.5 meters height for the safety reasons. Because there is again when you go down, we have to take care of the roof behavior. The roof we have to control the roof falling, etc. So what is allowed as per our regulations is about 5 meters wide and about 3.5 meters height. Roads can be driven. So those roads previously we used to drive by manual means, by blasting, and again loaded by manual means. Nowadays they are all cutter loaders. We have cutter loaders which will go down and will start cutting and loading automatically. They are called continuous miners. We have got about 12 continuous miners in the. See. Suppose the whole room is full. The top portion of the coal is roof.
That is, you construct it or
No. I just roof is roof. Roof that is on your head. That's all. You not construct. It's already there. Already there when you see. Either it can be coal itself. Suppose the coal seams are say about 10 meters. You cannot take 10 meters coal. You have to take only 3.5 meters. That means your roof becomes coal. Suppose if it is only 3.5 meters. So I take the entire coal. The rock is there. Again rock is there. That roof is also there. The floor is where you. Mining, as I told you, is a most productive technology. But in our case, because of the technology, our properties are we call that mining leaseholds. Leaseholds are limited in small areas, whereas in USA and all, even miles and miles together, the seams are extending. And it will be even say 10 miles, 20 miles, the same seam you will find, and even the width is also without disturbance you will get. So it is very easy to plan, and they are endowed with a better, geomining conditions. Whereas in our case, they are small properties and disturbed properties. As I told you, root is also not cooperating or behaving properly. So we have to address all those issues and then get out coal. So our mine, the biggest underground mine, is about 1.5 million tons only. 1.5 million is about how much? 15 lakhs per year. Whereas in USA, there are underground mines producing 30 million, even 40 million tons a year. And in Australia too, and South Africa too. Now, having said that, the runoff mine coal in our country is not that clean. As I told, because the coal seams were formed by drift theory, it is already having 30 to 45% ash. When you take it out, you are finding sometimes you get surprised. Hey, there is coal or what is it looking like rock? So like that, you may say that all in some of the coal fields you won't see it, because anybody will say coal must be black, it must be shiny, it must have some luster, it must be lighter. You will not find that. It will be heavy because specific gravity is almost 1.6. The stone's mineral matters specific gravity starts at 1.65. Our coals are 1.6, 1.5 like that. Whereas if it is 1.2, it is the best coal. Our coals are 1.55, 1.5 like that. So you will find that coals are inferior with more of dirt and more of mineral matter. So they have to be washed. As I told you about 15 years back, nobody thought of it. We were using it just like that, and washed coal was not consumed by the power plants. They were rather resisting. I should not say it was I again who started the first washery, a non-coking coal washery in the country. There was opposition. They don't know, we don't want coal, it's costly, this and that. And today they're all running for it. Every power plant wants the washed coal. That's what is the scenario has changed now. Now the washing, as I told you, it has to be beneficiated. Washing is nothing but it's a word, generic word, washing. It's a coal preparation or coal cleaning or coal beneficiation. In the chemical people will be able to appreciate that. So it's a beneficiation to remove mostly the ash levels or mineral matter. Of course, it is only a physical method. There is no chemistry involved in that. If you go to chemistry, it will be more costly. If you want to remove sulfur, if you want to remove other toxic material in the coal, it's a big thing. I think probably it will be so costly, you will not be able to generate power at all, because already power is so costly and nobody will be able to accept that. So the physical method of beneficiation is called coal washing. So in that I have already, I just covered as to what are the, there are two broad types of washing coal. One is the coarse coal, which is half inch and above, 13 millimeters and above. We call it coarse coal, and that coal is being washed by certain processes. And the finer the coal, better is the segregation, better is the separation from the dirt to mineral matter to the organic matter. So we have to crush it further. So that is known as fine coal washing. So fine coal washing obviously is going to be costly, because you are going to crush it down, again handling, putting more water, again dry it back again. So first of all you are adding water to wash it. Again you have to dry it back to put it back to the powerhouse. So many reverse processes. So and the crushing process makes that entire process costly, but it gives better coal in the process. So the coarse coal washing, normally it is through jig washing, or spiral washing, or concentrating tables are there, cyclone washing, and heavy media separation. Normally what is the physical process itself is simply gravity. Coal, as I told you, is having a lesser gravity. the stone is having a higher gravity. So once you put it in water, some media, and start jigging it, what happens? The sinks, the heavier ones goes down and the lighter ones goes up. That is simple theory. Just like your grandmother used to clean rice from the and stones, take out the stones, just like that. Start jigging the coal, the stones sink down, and the lighter coals come up. So that is about the physical process itself. And for the fine coal, again it is in the froth rotation. The chemical people will be able to appreciate that. In the surface property base, that is, the surface property of coal is being used. Fine coal is mixed with water, and a small amount of collector reagent is added to increase the hydrophobilicity of coal surfaces. Subsequently, air bubbles are introduced in the presence of a frother to carry the fine coal particles to the top of that slurry, whereas separating the hydrophilic stone material, stone particles down. So the commercial surface property, the surface property based cleaning, there is a fine coal washing, is through froth rotation, through the columns. So as I told you, it is prudent, and it's almost now become necessary that we start using coal of right quality, and it can only come by washing. See, roof is nothing but, as I told you, suppose this is the surface. So this is the roof. When you go into the, suppose you have started driving here. Suppose this is you are driving a headway. This becomes the roof. Here it is coal. Suppose this one you are driving here only about 3 meters. Then this becomes the roof. This becomes floor. It's just a generic word only. This becomes roof here. Roof is, here it is coal. Here it is, the roof is rock. Invariably, floor is always rock. Floor, normally we start driving in the floor only. So invariably, because after that we can take this coal also down. If we start here, then to take the coal up, it becomes difficult. So normally the working started done from the floor itself. So this is what I was mentioning about floor. And as I told you, it cannot be as simple from surface. It can be, say, whatever depth. It can be 10 meters or 20 meters, or it can sometimes it can be more. The deepest seam, as I told you, is about plus even 1,000 meters deep seams are also there. The lowest seam will be there. So as I told you, the coal needs to be washed if you want to pursue your clean coal technologies to improve the thermal efficiency, and also to introduce the critical, supercritical, ultra supercritical, whatever you want to, because by increasing temperature of burning, increasing pressure of burning, all those things, if you have this raw material or the input is wrong, then you will not be able to pursue those things efficiently. So the coal washing has become a rule of the day. And coming to the productions, are we producing the enough coal that is required for the country? You must be knowing already what you are hearing. Since about 1 week, the coal is probably, the nation has come to know about coal. What is coal? Probably by this, but maybe through a wrong kind of this thing. But all said and done, coal being produced within the country is not, supplies are less than the demand. You require around, the Coal India itself supplies around 380 to 390, say 400 million tons to power plant. It produces about 450 million tons. The country's production is around 600 now. About 440 is used by the thermal power plants. As I told you, 80% of the coal is going for power generation. So that's not sufficient. Last year we imported around 30-40 million tons for power. Total imports about 90 last year, 90 million tons. Whereas the power industry consumed about imported coal of around 40 to 45 million tons. And this year it may go to 60 to 70. And people, it is expectations are there by the end of 12th plan, that is 2017, it is going to be 200 million tons. There's a big subject, probably whether we should go or not. I used to always say only one, because they are all from villages. I am also from a village. No farmer having land will go to a shop to buy rice. If that day comes, that is a doomsday. If you have land, if you are a farmer, I think probably your duty is to cultivate the land and produce rice, and that's what we are doing time immemorial. Now what is happening is, if you don't have, come on, let the land be there, I'll put my pant on and I'll get away from there and then start buying rice. That's what is happening. As I told you, 280 billion tons of coals we have, 280 billion, out of which about 100 billion is approved. Out of that 100 billion, about 80 billion is thermal. 80 billion tons of coal, it can be, that's a proved result. Out of 80 billion, 50 billion can be mined, that means projectized. You may say it's approved once, but how to take it out? So the projects can be made for 40 billion to 50 billion. 40 billion means, if we are producing 500, what is required today is say 800. Start producing from here itself. Stop fighting. Stop doing all these things. What is happening is, we are only bothered about others. This thing. In the process, the coal production of the country is almost flat since about 2 years. Third year, I don't know. People are promising that there will be 3 to 4% growth. As it is, mining is not growing. Because without mining, probably the entire mankind, the civilization cannot be of what we are today without mining. Because the whole entire in the life cycle, about 80% is either metal or some kind of mineral. Otherwise, you will not be able to probably sustain your life. So that's what mining, agri and mining. Without these two, mankind cannot proceed, go further. So I think the mining doesn't improve. There's no growth in mining. There's no growth in coal mining. Then there's no growth power. We are depending upon the import coal and all these things. I don't know. And the moment they know India needs coal, Indonesia becomes. Everybody is clever these days. Increase the price. You are going to go there. What was costing $40 is costing $90 today. Double. Coking coal, what was costing about $80 is costing. They have told they are not going to add up the capacity in Mundra, that UMPP. Yeah, now because what I thought, you can appreciate, and much of the thing can go into your this thing. You can go back with more of information by a question answering, because you may be having some questions, You can, I'll be able to do justice in whatever you have.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting, at least for me, it was a very, very interesting talk. I was listening to it for the second time. Even the second time, it is very, very interesting. He covered from how age immemorial, millions of years back, how plant matter was converted into coal, and he took us to it was like watching National Geography. And also, he took us on what is the Indian challenges ahead. Excuse me. What are the Indian challenges? And I wanted to give him 2 to 3 minutes rest because for the last 1 hour 10 minutes he has been continuously talking. So the most important thing for a nation like India is the ability to generate its own power. If India is not able to generate its own power, like what we have today, really, I think on the record we are 12% to 15% power cut, but I think off the record we are much more than that. Nearly 30% maybe the power cuts even. So if we imagine situations where you have invested millions of rupees in an industry, you are going to pay interest, you are going to pay wages, and if the power is not available for, say, let us 4 hours, 5 hours, imagine the plight of the industry. He has to pay the interest, he has to pay the wages, and the profit for an industry normally is, a manufacturing industry is 5 to 10%. But the power cut is nearly 30%. So, if power is not supplied, the industry of India, leave alone our comfort, we cannot read, we cannot sleep, there will be a lot of mosquitoes biting you, all that is there. But look at the industrial growth. Industries cannot sustain. If industries cannot sustain, if industries do not earn profit, we will not be able to get our salaries. If we do not get our salaries, we cannot run our families. Our children, our father and mother, they cannot be fed. So this is such a critical question. Power for a nation is a very, very critical question. And power, where it has to come from for India? It has to come from coal. It cannot come from oil. We are not in Gulf. We are not in Russia. We are not in America. They have a lot of oil. Can be easily pumped. But coal is an area where we have the 3rd largest coal reserve in the world. And we are not able to mine the coal. We are not able to, we have it on our backyard, we have it in our home, but we are not able to take it, and we are not able to feed our power plants. Now we have 1.5 lakh megawatts of thermal coal-based power plants. The Prime Minister's office estimates by 2030 we need to have 9.5 lakh megawatts of power plants installed. That is 6 times. Whatever we have done in the last 65 years, the next 18 years, we have to do a 600% increase. So if you put up, even if BHEL succeeds in putting up that 600% increase in installed capacity of power plants, the coal has to be supplied by Indian companies. If the coal doesn't come, what is the point in putting up a power plant? So those are the challenges the country is facing. So I am sure that, of course, we have a sound base. We have people like Dr. Akala who have laid the very strong foundation. We can. It is not that we can't. We do not know. As you can see from Dr. Akala's speech, we know how to. We know what is our goal. We know what others are doing. We know what is to be done. And we have people like you, youngsters, who can do it also. So it is up to you, to the next generation, how many of you are going to come into power sector, how many of you are going to use the opportunities the power sector is going to provide for you, and how many of you are going into mining sector is a question that is thrown to the next generation, but we have a very strong foundation. This web talk is mainly for giving some rest to Dr. Akala Sab, who has been talking for nearly 1 hour. So now if you have any questions, we can take up some of the questions.
Mic kodu.
I'm Suresh from Mumbai College of Engineering. During the last session, there was a question about the solar. My question is also about the implementation of a solar power plant. Instead of installing a solar power plant in your area, remote area, and transmitting power from that area to the urban or rural area, it is difficult. Instead of doing like that, we can insist our government to install the solar panels in our home itself. If you, for example, if your home is if your house is constructed area 100 square feet, at least for 200 square feet, there must be a law made by a government that you should install your solar panel. So at least two lights and two fans can run with the solar panel. If we consider as a whole, about 2 to 3 megawatt can be generated from this. And also,
I understand your question. So shall I take it? That's your question is, the government of India has many schemes for promoting, you have to go to the Ministry of Non-Renewable Energy, MNRE website. You will see lot of schemes for promoting the idea you have been saying, that is distributed power generation. Not only at the home level, but also at appliances level. Even a rice cooker, government of India is providing subsidy. Rooftop tiles, solar panels is also being subsidized by government. And then at the village level, putting up small unit is also being subsidized by government. Government is providing technologies at the appliances level, at the home level, at the user level. And we are looking at solar power plants. Solar power plants of 3 different design, where you can produce up to 100 megawatts, 200 megawatts. Government of India has put a target of 20,000 megawatts at the Jawaharlal Nehru Solar Mission. 20,000 megawatts is the target nobody has set. But whatever you are saying, the rooftops, solar panels, it is very popular in Germany in the last 3-4 years. In Germany, you are able to see now, as you go across Germany, you can see lot of rooftops with solar power. But there, the people are willing to give more money for green power, more money for this. They are ready to invest. But in our country, you know the thing. Even a modest rise in power, this thing we are not able to afford.
So instead of giving a laptop,
I am not a politician to answer.
Taking our own coal, I mean, buying anthracite and processing that and generating power using that, and the lignite what we are having and using it. Can you make a small comparison in the cost wise?
Anthracite is a most matured, the end of maturity. It is the bituminous coals which are used for power generation. Maximum best coals, thermal coals are, as I told you, having about 6,000 to 6,500 kilocalories per kg. Whereas average coals in India is about 3,300 to 500. Whereas the lignites, I can say, in the Neyveli lignites or Rajasthan lignites or Gujarat lignites, which are actually being used, their heat value is around 2,300 to 2,500. You're all mechanical engineers, you can calculate. See, it's all the heat that goes into the steam cost. The cost of steam for power generation is done. So steam, how much steam can you generate out of this coal? Suppose lignite, if you put 1 ton, how much steam you will generate? If Indian coal, as you told, the Indian coal which is 3,500, if it is burnt and generated steam, how much of the cost? Imported, the prices are known. I will tell you the prices. Rest you can price again. It depends upon the company to company. The Coal India coal is different because that is what is going on now. This entire what do you call that CAG report is on that. So let us not get into that. Average cost, the cost Indian coal is the cheapest coal. Today I can tell Coal India or other matter, coal in India is the cheapest. Our coal average cost is around 600-700 rupees for the power coal as of today. When we were there, it used to go more and more. Now it is because there is price and all this. But whereas imported coal, by the time it reaches your powerhouse, say to Corinth, it is a coastal power plant. If it goes inside again, it will be more. It's about $90 to $100. How much? 5,500. 5,500 rupees per ton, 6,000 kilocalories. Say, it may not be 6,000, it may be 5,800, 5,700 also. But as far as I know, that is the cost. But whereas the Indian coal which is coming from Talcher, from Orissa, it costs him about 3,500. So that is what is this thing. And lignite, as I told again, the cost of lignite is around 800 rupees per ton in Neyveli. So 800 rupees gives you 2,300 kilocalories per kg. 3,500 coal from India to Tuticorin, let us take it that way, it costs about 4,000. Whereas from Indonesia, if he gets, it's going to be 5,500. So you can imagine. So the stream or coastal plants, even coastal plants with the present price, with the Indonesian price. 1 year back, it was okay. Today, the imported price, even the coastal plants, as I told you, Krishnapatnam, they are stopped. Reliance and Lambari told no. Thank you very much, I'm not going to develop it. They stopped working.
Composition of fly ash.
This is not fly ash.
It is mineral matter, you know. See, coal has two basic all-chemical people are here: organic and mineral matter. Organic is black matter, that is carbon, etc., etc. Here it is mostly silica, and other minerals even sometimes sulfur is also there, 0.5%. In the Indian coals are endowed with lesser sulfur, whereas in other countries the sulfur is also plus one means nowadays there is a restriction. You cannot have environmental laws don't allow you to use having coals with sulfur more than 0.6%, like that. It is mostly silica only in ash, as so-called ash we call it. So about lignites, lignites are not having much ash. Lignites are having more of moisture. It is not it's the coal, matured coals, where the ash, Iranian coals, the ash is plus 35, I can call it, thermal coal. 35 even more, we can go up to 48. I have told about mining. To know this 280 million tons of coal is there in the country, it is through exploration. There is an agency called Geological Survey of India, which is as old as 150 years old. Their duty is to only find out minerals, coal being one fossil fuel, organic mineral. So whether it is coal deposits, whether it is oil or oil, natural gas, of course the ONGC is doing its own job in that fossil fuels, that gas and oil. Whereas for coal and other minerals, it is GSI, Geological Survey of India. And if you go, there are so many stages of exploration. One is the reconnaissance. You know the rock types. What kind of minerals can be in what kind of rocks. The kind of it's already tabled out. The entire country is mapped where the coals are normally found in, as I told, is in the sedimentary rocks. So where are the sedimentary rocks in the country, it's all mapped out. Then after that, there are some aerial surveys, seismic surveys, by geophysical surveys, all those things. They will first do that, mapping, they do it. And lastly, they will have to go and start drilling wells, more wells. More wells, we have to just like now, suppose if a patient goes to a doctor, what he does first? What is ECG? It is surface superficial, is it not? ECG is superficial. That by the rhythm and all this, the doctor will come to know what the kind of condition of the heart. If you are little small and more problem, you go to angiography. You will insert something and send some liquid and finds out. Third is what? Open out and see what is happening inside. So like that, exploration. Lastly, the sure and the best method is by drilling only. See, for that's called the borehole density. For there are three stages of regional exploration. Region means they declare the regions. Which region can have coal? Which region? And then come to specifics. Then the density of drilling has to increase. For every square kilometer, there has to be at least 2 or 3. And then if you want to projectize it, you have to go and mine it. You have to have at least 8 to 10 to 15 wells per every square kilometer. So before I start mining, a project for mining, the mines are normally about 10 square kilometers. Say 10 by 10. 10 by 1. 10 kilometers long, 1 kilometer wide. That is, in that 10 square kilometers, I will have to drill about 100 or 200 wells, boreholes, up to say 500 meters. Then I will have to study and then make a plan, and then the project, then the mining. With the pressure and the heat, it got intermixed and it has become intermingled. It's not so very visible also. If you see that coal, dirty coal, you will not find where the rock is, where the ash is. You will not be able to find it. It is all mixed. That's why I told you, if you are crushing it down to crush it, say half inch, then only that ash will get liberated. What I mean.
Another question, sir.
Yeah.
Shall I explain it in it's a hydrocarbon, right? How hydrocarbons are formed? Hydrocarbons are formed by plant taking up carbon from the atmosphere and hydrogen from water and other things. So there are forests. Billions of years back, there were only forests. There were very less animals, and what happened is the continents are moving. All that what Sir was saying is the continents are together. Then the continents have moved away. Africa, India, Australia were all one continent. And then slowly they got drifted. What happens when you drift? If you drift this room, what will happen? It will all fall down. It will fall down on the forest below, or our forest will go down. So that is in situ. Suppose if there is a flood, or if there is a slight landslide, like what we see in Nilagiri mountain rangeway, the landslides. So when the landslides, what happens? Along with the, or with the waterfall, what happens? Along with the forest, plant matter, you also have soil, you also have other rocks mixed up, and it gets deposited. That is called sedimentation. In situ means it is there, it is pressed, and it is pure. There is nothing mixed up. But when it is sedimenting, when it is drifted, so you have lot of other items along with the plant matter. That other item is now not burnable material. What is not further burnable is the ash. What is remaining after burning is called as ash. So when you burn hydrocarbons and soil together, what will remain? That whatever rock, that is what is remain. So our core is formed because of drifting, by sedimentation. Not like the Russian coal or American coal, which is an in situ. It just sits on that. In situ, it sits on that. So that is much more pure. That is what is there.
What are the challenges are you facing in coal washing?
Any chemical engineer will be able to appreciate this, or otherwise even any science graduate or science background person will be able to appreciate. As I told you, it is the gravity. The nearer the gravity, the closer the gravity, it is difficult to identify what is stone, what is coal. If it is 1.2, as the coal is there and there is an external stones, then you can easily pick it out. If it is intermingled, it's not possible. So the near gravity material is more in our coals. Near gravity material. There is the difference between the gravity for the plant matter, the coal matter, and the mineral matter is so close. It is difficult to wash. It's all in the paper. You can find that. You can go through. Our coals are known as difficult to wash coal. Even the technology which is being developed elsewhere, we are trying to follow, and we have to have our own. The only way to, if you want to have better cleaning or better washing, crush it down. Crush it, make it fine. As I told you, how much? Crush more means more money. You don't have money to buy rice. You are talking about the sweets. Like that. So let us go for first, post washing. Post coal washing we are doing already. In the country it is going on for coking coal as well as thermal coal. Post coal washing, as I told you, minus 30, that is half-inch size washing is going on. But as if you want, for steel plant for example, steel plants they want 18% ash. That means they have to crush it further. They are ready to give little more money. So wherever there is a steel coal washing or coking coal washing, we are going for the fine coal washing method. So the challenges are many. I mean, both in coarse coal as well as fine coal. Fine coal, they have multiple challenges, whereas in coarse coal also having challenges because of our near gravity materials. Because gravity, specific gravity of coal and specific gravity of stone is so near in our coal. It's not far. It's easy to, if it is far, then it is easy to separate it out. So that is what is the challenge.
Keeping announcements. John, before. Sir, thank you very much for a very enlightening session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.